So we're going to get things started here for Sports Betting 101. I'm going to have these gentlemen introduce themselves, and we're just going to have ourselves a conversation here on a Saturday afternoon.
Hello everyone, my name is David. I go by The Hulk Bets on all socials. I've been sports betting for a long time, basically ever since it became legal. Downloaded the apps, putting in bets with my friends, and about 6 to 8 months ago decided to take the next step and start doing some picks, sending them out to people's phones, doing them, YouTube videos, content, posting them to Twitter. So kind of probably a similar story to a lot of you guys, just started doing it for fun, and it kind of pushes, naturally grows past that. So
I'm Ben, I'm with Better and Green. We post a lot of MMA content and football content mostly, but we cover all sports. We've been around for about 2 years. It's me and about 4 other guys. We all specialize in our own sport, so we stay in our own lane, so it's more specialized and focused on each event. Happy to be here.
Hey, I'm Joel Worth. I'm with IDP Plus. We're the sponsor of the show, or this presentation. We've got a lot going on at IDP Plus, a lot of new betting content. I'm doing best ball for them and some season-long stuff. But we're kind of splitting IDP Plus out into IDP Plus and IDP Bets. We get a lot of new content, a lot of proprietary prediction models, tackle models for IDP stuff, and other things like that. So check us out on the YouTube and on the socials, and excited to talk to everybody.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mitch Carl. You can find me at DFS and Donuts. I have a sports betting company. I've been in the business since 2016. I have a different background. Came from the education system. I left it to do this full time. So I cater a lot of my content to make sure that I'm able to help out people who are new to sports betting, which is a lot of people from the fantasy space. So I'm very excited to be here, and I appreciate seeing you guys and coming out.
Okay. Hello. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Davidson, and I've been doing this forever. These guys are all young and have great tips and ideas. I'm like old school. I work for iHeartRadio, and I've been around sports betting for a zillion years, and it's changed so much, but I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to be brought on by the Cavs and the Guardians on both of their pregame shows to do all their sports betting content. Some of you may have heard me. I've been doing it for 2 years with the Cavs, 1 with the Guardians, although I've been in radio for 40 plus years. And the industry has changed a lot. Sports betting has changed a lot. And when we get to my segment here, we'll talk about how to win, and I can really more help you how not to lose, which is really the important thing, because it's very difficult in this industry to turn a profit. I know all these guys know that. So appreciate you guys all coming over, and look forward to taking some questions too later. If you have them, we'll help you out the best we can.
So we're just going to open this up. I know we got some guys here. If there's any questions for any of these guys, we can kind of have any questions here. I can start to get the microphone to you. Anybody have any questions? All right, Scott's got a question.
I'm going to ask this simple question. How many people that are sitting out there win at sport? Nobody? How many people actually don't know whether they win or lose? Or not sure? Even if you're not sure, raise your hand. Nobody. You all know you lose. Now, that is amazing. Well, that's why you're sitting over here, right? Because here's the thing. Anybody can throw darts at a board and go 50% betting, which doesn't make you a winner because of the vig. But here's the reason that most people lose at betting. There's 2 reasons. A, they have no idea what parts of their wagering are winning or losing because they don't keep track of their bets. Super important. Second thing is they don't know how to manage their money. And that's what makes people broke the fastest, is money mismanagement. Let me try this question. How many of you have bet $100 a game on Sunday, gone 3-0, and then gone and taken the whole $300 on Monday night, bet it and lost? Raise your hand if you've ever done that, in any increment. This guy's shaking his head. He doesn't want to raise his hand. But see, you just went 75% on your wagers and lost. And that's a big problem. And that's a big problem for everybody. So don't be embarrassed that you don't win. Learning how to not lose, as I said, will set you on the track to eventually, potentially turning a profit.
I really like what Scott just said. I want to riff off it a little bit. So he asked those questions about if you know how your success or failures have gone, and it all seems like you know yourselves a bit, which is first and foremost when it comes to sports betting, I think. You got to know what your plan's going to be. You have to have a game plan. You can't just go willy-nilly into betting. And I think knowing yourself is step one. What kind of player do I want to be? Do I want to bet in games? Do I want to try to bet the prop market? Am I trying to gain an edge in creating parlays? And whatever that is, refine your skill, perfect your craft, and go down that path as hard as you can. I think if you try to be the jack of all trades or the master of none, and that's a hard thing to do in the sports betting arena. And honestly, knowing yourself, that first step, sounds like a lot of you understand it. Being able to go into betting knowing yourself is key, because if you go in and you don't entirely understand what your goal is, you're going to burn through your money very, very fast. So I love what Scott said. I think it's a great prelude to what today's episode or show or whatever we want to call this is going to be. And I hope that we have some good questions today. And if we don't, if we can walk away with Scott's first initial take, I love that. Just staying humble. You can start off hot. It doesn't mean you get it. None of us understood it the first go around as well. So you're not in your own little company. We're all together in it.
I would totally agree what's been said so far. I have a question for you guys actually, because I found myself doing this for a while. How many of you guys look at bets and you'll place 10 bets on a Sunday and it's $5 here, $20 here, $10 here, and it's either not based on a rhyme or reason or it's based on the one that you think is going to be the most likely to succeed and you put more money on that. Does anybody do that? There we go. All right, there we go. Exactly, yep. And listen, I was just like you. I think that the best thing I'll preach to you guys then is come up with the unit system. You probably heard that before. Easier said than done, right? But if you come up with a unit system that is anywhere between 0.5 to 1% of your bankroll that you're willing to lose, and just stick to that for all bets minus parlays, minus long odds parlays, if you stick to that, I think that's one easy step where you could find that you'll start to succeed more and you won't blow through your money or your winnings the next day on a play that you felt really good about. Like, oh man, this looks great. This is a lock. CMC scored a touchdown in 16 straight games. You play it on the 17th game, you double down for the first time because why not? It's kept hitting before, right? And there you go. You just lost, and now you lost in something that pretty much you thought was a sure thing. So I think that's something I would just suggest, is that try to stick to the unit system. And it sucks, but really stick to it, and you'll find it goes a long way, I think.
It is a super good point what he just said, because that's one of the ways that I try to teach people on the air on these broadcasts with the Cavs and Guardians how not to lose. So it's a great point, and he said 1%. I'll expand it a little. I say 1 to 3%, but it's okay. So let me give you an example of what I think he means and what I do, and what. If you start with, and I'm going to make this number up, so don't feel like you have to. It doesn't matter what number you start with. But if you start with $1,000, right, and that's your bankroll for football, and you're betting 1 to 3%, those bets are $10 to $30. They're not 50. They're not 100. As you start to win, your bankroll increases. What happens to your bets? Your 1% bets go up. Your 2s and 3s, they all go up. When you're losing, your bet unit size goes down. But you have to be keeping track of that. You have to be very strict with it, or you will not win.
I've got a question for the rest of the guys on the panel here. I think the biggest news in betting recently has been that DraftKings is going to institute a 3% tax on winning bets. Do you guys think this is the future? Are you going to stick with DraftKings? How do you think this is going to play out?
Well, first of all, they're not doing it in Ohio yet. They've done it in 4 states, and this is not here. If it's the future, I will not be playing there, because it's already hard enough to beat a minus 110 vig. And we're only talking about straight bets here, not parlays and props that have significant tags of money lines on them that these guys are probably way better at picking than I am. It's not my world. But I would be out, and I think the longevity of the offshore sportsbook industry, which got beat up a little bit by regulations and rules, will reemerge if all of these local books start to tax you. Because those books not only don't tax you, but don't report. Now, of course, you have to use Bitcoin, and you're responsible for that on your own, and I'm not recommending anything illegal. Let me put a mask on. But It's a very, very dangerous slope. Thank God it's not coming to Ohio, but if it does, it's going to make, there's already been 4 books in Ohio that closed. We started with 19 or 20. 4 of them are gone already because they can't get market size. So the big ones like DraftKings and FanDuel feel like they have the market share, they can tax people. Luckily, they haven't done it here, but I think it's going to cause some problems.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. The only thing I was really going to add to that is, because you brought up a good question, is I think that the other books are going to see how it goes. DraftKings was bold enough to be the first one. I think that on social media, at least, it was met with probably how you'd expect. Nobody wants to lose extra money, essentially, so nobody was really happy about it. They're probably banking on the fact that they just have such a large market share that it doesn't matter. People are comfortable. If you have money in DraftKings, you're probably not going to pull it out and put it onto another book. You're comfortable with DraftKings. You know their platform, their UI is comfortable to you. You're just going to keep betting, probably. That's what they're banking on. I think you'll see some of these other companies use DraftKings as a guinea pig. If it's a huge failure, they'll probably stay away from it and just eat that tax that they're paying. And if it's a success and DraftKings doesn't see any decrease in players or revenue, I think that becomes more of the new norm, unfortunately.
I want to be careful about being negative about any sports book, but I'm about to be. DraftKings is the king of making zillions of dollars. And here's what I mean. This is a method of making extra money, but they have a second one. Now, none of you guys know this because none of you raised your hands and said that you won. Any winning player at DraftKings gets completely limited. For example, I was able to bet $1,000, $2,000, $1,500, big money at DraftKings until I started to win a lot. And now I can bet $37.42. The account's worthless to me. So I'm not surprised that this is the book that did it first.
I'll say, if you're looking at a game, let's say Browns versus the Bengals, and you're looking at the point spread and you're thinking, okay, this is what I want to throw my money on, the Browns +3, whatever, and you're thinking that's the game, you're playing you versus Vegas. It's not the game. So one of the things you really need to be paying attention to also is, where's the money going? Where are the bets and what's the percentage? If you're seeing 99% of the bets and 99% of the money are on one side and the line's not moving, run. You need to get out of there, bet the other side. So where is the sharp money coming in on, and where's Vegas's biggest liabilities is one of the things that, as beginning sports bettors, you think you know football, so you're going to bet football. What does DraftKings, what does FanDuel know? They know sports betting. So it's really important to track, where's the money coming, where's the money going.
Super good point. I'm going to give you one little, this is the easiest thing for you to do if you don't know what you're doing and you want to pick winners. Do exactly what he said. Look for where the money is. 75, 80% on one side. And when the line moves the other way, then you are playing with the sharps. There are plenty of sites that tell you what the percentage is. Look at the opening line. It opened 3. Everybody's betting the favorite, and the line went down to 2.5. Bet the dog.
I love that. I think that shopping the odds is literally just one of those basics that we all need to do if we're going to be successful. 2 people can legitimately have the same exact picks over the course of 365 days. One person sips the juice all the time on one sportsbook app because they love the interface. That person likely going to end up not profiting as much, or potentially even losing money compared to me or another person who has the same picks, but they're constantly shopping the odds. Meaning, if my friend has all my picks too, and he's playing these -130s, -135s, and I'm shopping the odds, and I'll tell you about that in a hot second, you're taking them at -105, -110. You're going to make more money than your friend is. They might potentially even lose money, even if they're winning more than 50% of their props or their picks that Scott had mentioned in the beginning. Now, how do we shop the odds? A lot of people end up downloading 5, 6 different apps. They're sitting there and they're hiding from their family in the bathroom before the game starts. They're pretending the IBS flared up. It's those freaking wings. And they're going through and they're trying to make their bets, and they're looking at all their sports books, and they're going one by one by one to try to find the best odds for the play. They finally find it, after 10 minutes of scouring through these apps, and they go to place it, and what happens? The odds move. And all of a sudden, they've got to go back through, and they're cycling through them. So there are many apps and tools that are out there, and I don't want to plug myself, but come to Booth 22 today. I want to talk about shopping the odds a little bit further, because shopping those odds is crucial to long-term profit.
100%. That's a great point, and there's many free sites, Scores and Odds, Pregame, Wager Talk, that have odds feeds that you can look at rather than going through all of the sites and doing that. And the VIG that you mentioned is the second huge thing. Now, offshore, there are many sports books that deal reduced VIG. But in the sake of legality here, I will only mention one that does it in Ohio. And one only, and it's not a book you've probably ever heard of, but it is there, and they deal minus 108 on every game. And it's called Prime Sports. And I'm not an agent of theirs, I'm not anything. But that's the only one I can find here that does it, except when somebody has a game tagged 115 one way and 105 the other. That's not offering reduced juice. It's just the line set they have on that game. Nobody has it here. Getting 105, 107, 108 on your games when you're betting straight bets over the course of the season and over the course of your life will change your return on investment mammothly.
Question for you all. Maybe we can do the show of hands thing. We'll try it again. Raise your hands. It's a two-part question. I'm going to ask about singles, placing straight picks. We're talking about just a single outcome we're betting on versus parlays. And I feel like I already know which side the hands are going up on, okay? Hands up high if you predominantly bet on parlays only. Yeah, I figured that much. Okay, it's going to be the majority of the public. Now, I'm going to take a stance here, and it might not be the most popular amongst my friends here. Parlays are okay. They're fun. But if you got to treat them like that. They're okay to do, and they're for fun. They're not where you're going to make the most money. If you're trying to make a profit long term, which I feel like everybody's sitting down here, you are here specifically to become a better sports bettor. You're not here to just get a little bit of entertainment. That's what our YouTube shows, our Sirius Satellite, and all our shows are for. iHeartRadio for Scott Davidson. You're trying to listen for entertainment there. You're here because you want to get better. And I'm fairly certain that most people who are in this as a career, they're not going to be telling you go out there and you're going to make the most money doing single game parlays for Sunday Night Football, watching the Bills trounce the Cleveland Browns, and then, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Chris. You're going to make the most money doing single bets, okay? So we can go down that further a little bit later, but let's just be careful about those. And when you are playing those, David had talked about this in the beginning, setting your unit size for your average bet. Keep that to your normal prop pick, your one, game on you're taking a spread or a side or a total. Have that be your unit, okay? But if you're doing those parlays, fractionalize that. You got $10 on, the Browns to win. Okay, that's cool. That's your unit size. You're doing a parlay for Sunday touchdown bets. Okay, maybe that's 0.1 unit. So $10 being a unit, you're doing $1. It's for fun. We all need that fun aspect. I do it. I'm sure everybody up here does it. But we're not doing it the same way we're doing the rest.
So that's really, really a great point. So what you can do in this regard is set up two bankrolls. One for your real bets and one for what you call action bets or fun bets, whatever name you want to give it. Those are the $1 and $2 bets, and you put $50 on the side, and when that's gone, it's gone. But that's not where you're going to make the money. Come on, you guys. You don't win. You have to have questions. We have to help you. It's our mission.
I would say, I think you guys already talked about it, but as far as bankroll goes, take the mic. Take the mic.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick. My question is, I'm a rookie at this. I want to make sure my bankroll management is better because I like what you guys just said about two bankrolls. My question again is for a rookie bankroll management, the best things that we can do to not get so enamored in the moment, meaning we don't try to push all our bankroll into one direction and then we're we're at zero again. I think that's sometimes the impulsiveness that we all deal with. So, what are your thoughts?
Nick, that's a great question. I think one of the things I believe everybody up here would agree with is emotional betting is probably not the way to go. Picking your favorites, your teams, the teams that you love is probably not. It's not always good to follow your heart in those regards. So I guess what I'll say one point, and I don't know if you find yourself doing this, is chasing bets. So like, let's say you place a couple of bets during the day and you're a little bit behind and you're like, okay, there's a nighttime game coming up, prime time. I'm gonna place a bet. I want some action in that game and I'm gonna try to make up for my day's losses. Most of the time that doesn't go well. So that's very much emotional betting. That's something that's a specific instance, but I think it's a pretty common instance. So that's something I would try to stay away from. If you're having a rough day, place your bets for the day, do your research, place your bets, and then don't bet anymore. Just call it. Just follow them, root for your team, watch them, but call that. Say, no more bets for me today. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. You'll come back with a clear head. You won't be chasing your bets. You'll stick to your units the next day, because that's the important thing too. Don't up your units trying to make back what you lost the day before. And I think that'll be a good thing for you long term to stay profitable.
So that was a super good point, but here's how I would recommend that. Everything he said is exactly right. That's what's going to make you go broke. Just have this one thought going into the football season. It's never a daily session. It's a season-long session. So what happens during the day on the first weekend of NFL, you don't need to try to fix that on the Sunday night game. You have to think of maintaining your bankroll from September through the Super Bowl. And if you think of it as one big long session and not one day, oh my God, what happened today, it'll help you stay in control.
Nick, I loved your question today, and honestly, there's one way, and I love what Scott just said, having the long view. You know, it's not a day-by-day progression for betting. You're doing this, you want to do this long-term, well, let's make long-term decisions instead of these short-term things.
Marathon, not a sprint.
Yes. Now, one thing I want to add to this is, we talk about unit size. Nobody talks about unit capping. Now, unit caps are important to me once I left teaching 4 years ago, and I said, I'm going all in. This is my full-time career now. When I'm betting, I have a unit cap. So each and every day, whatever that cap's going to be for that sport at that time of the season, I don't go over it, no matter what. That also means there's going to be times where I'm having a very good day, I haven't met my cap. I will do more, because maybe I still have two units left that I can use of my daily cap. That way I never go too far over, I don't waste my money losing it through emotions, which we've all done. I still do, I'm not perfect. It's okay to make mistakes, but trying to adhere to that plan is so crucial. And I want to riff on the unit sizing for 1 second. A lot of people, they're like, okay, 1% of my bankroll. Well, that's all relative. Somebody who's starting might be flush, all right? Their bankroll's $10,000, their 1% is $100. They might not be okay losing $100 per bet, betting 5-6 units per day, having a bad day, and then bang, they're out $500. I truly believe your unit size, and this is how I bet, should be what you're okay with losing on each and every bet, and your unit cap needs to be what you're okay losing on that day, any given day. No more, no less. If you're not okay losing more than $25 on a bet, that's your unit size, regardless of what your total bankroll is. If you're not okay losing more than $100 per day, because it's going to happen, as much as you don't want it to, you're going to brick an entire card. You're going to go 0-7, you're going to go 0-8. And if you're not okay losing $100 in a day, $500 in a day, then you need to adjust what that unit size is, and you need to adjust your unit cap to what you can emotionally handle. Because if you don't, your mentals are going to get wrecked. What is that? What's the Marshawn Lynch? Protect your mental, count your chickens, protect your mentals. You can't go into betting not protecting either, okay?
One more.
I was just going to say real quick, I think the best advice I can give new bettors is find out what kind of bettor you are. What are you good at? Like I primarily do season-long bets, and I know that people don't like that because it ties up your bankroll. But I'm better at the big picture stuff, so that's what I stick to. I'm not as good as the kind of granular week to week, every kind of Sunday kind of bets. I'm better at the big picture, so that's what I primarily stick to. So find out, what do you like to bet? How do you like to bet? What are you good at? And let that be kind of what guides your betting if you're just starting out.
And the only way to do that is to keep exact track of every bet you're making. That's his point is right on, because when you look at your season recap at the end of the year and you said I went like 2-12 on totals and 19-10 on sides, and my X and Y went Z and A, you'll know what you're good at and what you suck at, and you remove the suck and stay with the good.
I'll add real quick, it's kind of what he was saying too. There's nothing that's a sure bet. And so it's so hard sometimes when you can see something so clearly that it's like, I'm going to just double up the units. I'm just going to throw extra on it. I'll give you guys just a quick story. I just had a baby about 11 months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was time for a new car seat. And man, those things are expensive. The wife was like, look at this $500 car seat. I said, okay. Well, there's an MMA fight that night, and I said, man, Molly McCann's never got a sub before. I could throw her just a 2-leg parlay. No, this one's going to hit. The KO decision, she choked her out with 1 second left. Long story short, I paid $600 for a $500 car seat. So no matter how sure you are about something, make sure you put in the same amount each time. That was a great
say
point.
the baby never got in the car since then. He's been sitting at home. The poor kid.
That sounds like emotional betting to me.
My last question is research tools for, obviously everybody knows certain things about over-unders and stuff like that, as far as like, for example, football, they might look at weather and stuff like that. But what is a distinct advantage that you can give when it comes to like taking the things that you're researching and then literally deciphering and separating how that goes when you're trying to place the bets, sometimes getting the value where you can, or sometimes how does that even factor in for live?
Fantastic. Love the question. Love the thought process. Really shows you're trying to grow as a bettor. Listen, this is a plug. It's going to end up being a plug. My booth today. Launched this tool. It's all about shopping the odds, researching props, and then optimizing those picks. So essentially, you look for the best odds for a play. You click on their name, you research the player, and then you're able to dive into the analytics, the metrics. Now, there's a lot of people, Nick, and I'm going to be totally frank about this, that think that something like what I do is not necessary. If you're just based on odds, honestly, you're not trying to outsmart the books. I personally believe there's a little bit of both. You got to gather your puzzle pieces to be able to put the puzzle together. So, paying attention to what the odds are, looking into the data for each and every single player, I think there's a perfect blend that you can marry the two for a really nice process. Now, I know that maybe not everybody up here agrees with me, but I think that that's truly the way to go about it. When you're doing that, try to find, whether it's me or another place that you're doing it at, find a simple way to do it. Don't be the guy with, the laptop open, you got your tablet next to you and your phone's in front of you, and there's 15 tabs. Have an all-in-one opportunity to sit there, be able to sit down, be efficient, or outsource your time to a company that can do it for you.
Here's the thing, the line shopping thing is super critical. I mean, you can't overstate it. And I'm handcuffed on the Guardians and the Cavs broadcasts by sponsors, okay? I can't lie about that. But I still preach line shopping on Countdown to Kickoff on Sunday mornings, which is our WTAM has a Browns pregame show that I'm part of. There, I get into it big time because you have to do it. So I almost am like, sometimes I feel uncomfortable not being able to say that on those Cavs and Guardians broadcasts. If you hear me, what he's saying is completely correct. If you're not getting the best number and the best vig, and you're really handcuffing yourself from the best opportunity to win.
Well, I thank you guys for having this panel because it's already helped for me. Thanks. I have a drop I gotta go to. Otherwise, I'll be here a little longer.
Any other questions? I have a question for our audience. Is there a place, I'm not really a sports bettor, but is there this is betting 101. I've heard a lot of nomenclature and terms up here that I'm not familiar with. Is there a site, someplace you can go, a glossary, to learn with the nomenclature, the VIG, your cap, the lines? What does that all mean before I go into these sites and start, I'm a total newbie. I'm dipping my toe in for the first time as a baby boy. Where do I go just so I don't get lost in the alphabet soup of things?
I mean, there's a zillion of them. They're everywhere. I mean, you know, a friend of mine started the first offshore betting site that policed the offshore world and taught people how to bet. It's been there since the 80s and it's still there. It's called bettersworld.com. Now, again, I know this guy personally. We were betting partners. But I'm not pimping his site as much as to say that you can go on almost any of these sites. Pointwise, Wager Talk, they all have them. But you have to be careful that they're not trying to lead you to something else. So they're there. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I'll pose a question to you all. So how many of you guys are familiar with playing the odds, essentially like a minus 140 or a minus 200? You guys all know essentially what the difference is on your return? You know that if you play a minus 200, you're getting less back if you win, right? This is betting 101, so I don't want to assume anything. So the reason I ask that is because do you guys play straights that are a minus 150? Do you guys have like a hard and fast rule, like if it's a minus 150 or higher, I won't play that because it's too juicy and I know I'm not going to get much back? Well, I think that what I will say is I try to stick to a rule of anywhere between minus 140 and minus 150 is about as high as I'll go without having to find what I call a juice cutter. I don't know if that's an industry term or whatever. Maybe it's an industry term, maybe we've made it up. But essentially, if you find a play you really like, but the books know it's a good play, they're going to put it at maybe a minus 200. The money's coming in, they're going to keep it at a minus 200. It might even move. The line itself might even move, the prop line. So don't play a minus 200. What you can do, one of the strategies, yes, we talked about parlays, long-term are probably not the way to go, profitability-wise, for most people over straights. But one thing you can do is create a simple two-play parlay with a minus 200 and another play that is a minus 800. You know, for baseball, it's like take this guy not to hit a home run or something like that at a minus 1,000. And now you've taken a minus 180 or a minus 200 play, and now it's a minus 130 or minus 140, and it's in that range where you're going to get a decent return back on the money you put in. But don't play minus 180s, don't play minus 200s. Even if they're, in your mind, a sure thing, you're not getting back enough to make it worth the risk that you're taking.
You know what the hardest bet for most people to play is? A plus 200, a plus 180, a plus 160. Why? Because they always feel like this bet's gonna lose. Even seasoned professional bettors have a hard time sometimes pulling the trigger on the plus one. Those are the great bets when you can find edges in those, because the percentage that you have to hit on those is so significantly lower than the ones that he was speaking of. So don't be afraid of those if it's something that you like, because it's a psychological mental warfare with yourself. I'm going to bet something plus 180. Well, that means it's supposed to lose. It makes it hard, seriously.
I will say that I'm someone who likes the plus 180s and plus 200s just because I'm a natural contrarian bettor, and that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to search out. I would much rather make a play like that than a minus 110. I want something that I feel good about and that I think is going to give me a solid return. So those are the bets that I'm going to kind of seek out, and that's what I'm going to look for.
I'll give you one now. We're all here for the NFL Fantasy Expo here. Touchdown betting is a great market for plus odds plays. I mean, you legitimately can get virtually every single player on every single slate, other than maybe save like Christian McCaffrey, at plus odds. And when you're betting on these, you usually get a really solid return. There's a lot of metrics and data you can look into. Essentially, I'll boil it down to this. Is that team, do they have a high implied team total for the week? Do they have any other high touchdown equity? You guys understand that term from fantasy football. Type players on their team. If not, that player has a good shot at potentially getting a touchdown for that week. And if you're playing the odds and you're trying to shop and look around, you're going to get a site like BetMGM giving you the best touchdown odds for week 7, plus 250 for TD Lamb. Mr. Touchdown there. We can bet on TD Lamb at plus 250 at BetMGM. Meanwhile, you're hiding from your family and you're on only FanDuel because you love the UI, and I do too, and it's plus 180. Again, we're doing this over the course of an entire NFL season. Every single bet is going to add up in the long run. Shop your odds. do not be afraid of those plus odd plays because you can make so much more playing those and you have to win so many less.
Yeah, great point. And just straight to that, if you're playing the minus 150 up to minus 200s, we don't play for the wins or for the losses. You play to win money, right? So if you are playing these really juiced up numbers, you have to win 70, 80% of your bets to make money. Whereas if you're making plus 100, plus 200, the further you go, the less times you have to hit, and it just makes economic sense.
A point you made that's really good. You know, when you're like, let's take a baseball game right now, and the total is 7. It's a low total, right? Those are times to look at pitcher props that can be good because these numbers are connected. So the total's low because the game is forecast to be low scoring. So use those as like indicators as to what props you might dig for. And I'm not a big prop guy. I mean, I'm stealing your thunder because you know more than I do, but I think that's true, right? I mean, that's one of the places, correlation is a huge thing. There used to be a thing, the books cut us off from doing them back in the day. We had these correlated parlays in football. You guys familiar with them? All the books cut them off because you couldn't lose. You were going to ask about correlated parlays? Well, you can't play them anymore because the books make them so that they won't allow you.
Yeah, I was going to ask because I play daily fantasy sports. So parlaying or stacking teams, right? Baseball. Can you stack bets like that, or they don't let you anymore?
Yeah, most books. Scott nailed it. Most books they have basically taken away the opportunity for you to do that, and you'll try to put together. What we mean by this correlation is Patrick Mahomes over 270 and a half passing yards. We love it this week. And then we take Travis Kelce and we're saying over 98 and a half receiving yards. When you parlay those together, most books, most of the time, will not either, they will allow it to be used on their interface, but you won't get better odds. It's almost like a trick. And now all of a sudden you're betting on 2 outcomes occurring and you're not getting anything better. It stays at, minus 115 and it didn't get better. But meanwhile, if you're not paying attention, now you need 2 things to come to fruition to make money. So be careful about how you are parlaying things because usually it's just not worth it unless you're putting together a single game parlay, and that is how they kind of let you put together the correlation. But we've talked about it all day. You're going to get taxed on it. They're not going to let you put together, Tua and Tyreek and, 2 other players all succeeding through the air and then getting a lot of money for that happening. Because there's a good correlation that if Tua pops off for 400 passing yards, everybody's having a good day. They're all going to help you. So that is smart. The touchdown bets, one of my favorite things every single week, my long odds parlays, the fun factor, that $1 bet we alluded to in the beginning, touchdown parlays. Who doesn't want to sit around and watch a game hoping for touchdowns? What else matters? You're watching CMC. I like CMC to score. I like TD Lamb to score. And I've taken this prop over here for Josh Allen to rush one in. And I'm parlaying those 3 together. 3 guys that score, at will on any given week. And I'm parlaying them together for plus 800 odds. That's where you throw your small bet on. And that's how you sweat out the fun factor for betting. And if you go into this, I'm going to be honest for all of you, if it's your first year betting on sports, second year, third year, and you're newer to it, and you really haven't had all of these things, your ducks in a row, don't lose the fun factor, okay? You're gonna ruin your mentals. You will. If you're going into this, you're like, man, I gotta go hardcore, and I'm gonna just remove the fun aspect. I mean, if you're not having fun, good luck enjoying betting at all whatsoever, because a lot of us are gonna lose all the time. That's just part of it. So you gotta have the fun aspect.
You can have fun for free in Ohio. This is the best part. I mean, all these promos that are out there. If you're new at it, you're the lucky ones. You can download I'm not going to pimp all these different stuff. You see all the offers. Just make sure you understand what they are. A lot of them, they give you these bonus bets. You have to use them within 7 days. But if you're new and you want to shop lines, you're going to open multiple accounts. You might as well get your 150 here, your 500 here, your 250 here. And if you're going to lose in the first 6 months learning how to do this, lose their free money instead of your own.
One thing I just want to say, following up on what he said, is if if you go on Twitter or whatever, you're going to see people like pimping out, oh, I won this much this week, I won this much this week, I won this much this week. Don't chase that. They're not telling you how much they lost last week and stuff like that. So don't, as a new bettor, don't walk into this and say, oh, I need to be as good as this guy or as good as this guy says he is. Just, understand your limits, understand what you want to do, understand what you're going to be happy with, and, be happy with that.
There it is. Do we have any more questions? Guys, thank you so much for just giving your valuable experience. Give them a round of applause. So we appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate your expertise and just being on the panel and taking the time to teach us a little bit. So absolutely. So any other questions before we let them go? All right, you guys are good.
Thank you guys for coming. Good luck this season. I hope you really do well. I do.